Hi everyone, my name is Terry Westwell and today's Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our book of the week, which is Rook Rebel by Kate Crew. So first, this is a spoiler-free section, so if you haven't read this book yet, don't worry about it, it won't be spoiled for you here. There will be some spoiler-related things I want to discuss, but that will be later on in the video and you will get plenty of warning. If you'd like to join in on any of the discussions, send me your thoughts, comments, or even a short video clip of you discussing the book, then I'll list the next upcoming 4 books in the description below. So I rated this book 4 stars. Honestly, I had a really good time with it, but was it the most complex or deepest spicy romance I've ever read? No. But it was absolutely entertaining. This is just one of those books where you really do have to embrace the absurdity of it all. The premise is a bit ridiculous, the characters are constantly making questionable decisions, and everybody is a walking red flag, but it still comes together as an enjoyable read. Okay, so quick summary. This book follows Reagan, whose life is becoming increasingly controlled by her father as his health declines. Feeling trapped and isolated, Reagan's world changes when she meets Rook, a biker who has years of resentment towards her family, as well as a carefully curated revenge scheme. What begins as a plan for vengeance quickly becomes more complicated when feelings get involved, and the lines between love, obsession, and vengeance begin to blur. So, if I had to compare this to any other book, then I would probably say that it has a similar kind of vibe to something like Lights Out or Butcher and Blackbird. Not because the storylines are particularly similar, because they're not, but they definitely have that similar kind of vibe of everything is a little bit ridiculous, everyone is really questionable, but somehow I'm still having a pretty good time. So if you did enjoy those books, then you might enjoy this one as well. I think the thing that worked for me was that the book was never really trying to be something that it wasn't. It knew the story that it wanted to tell, and I think that it did a pretty good job of it. It was chaotic and spicy and a little bit ridiculous, and I think that that was part of its charm. I flew through this book because it was just incredibly easy to read. Just sometimes you can pick up a book and it just sort of feels like work. This was not one of those books. In fact, it was the kind that you could pick up and intend to read a chapter and all of a sudden you've read 100 pages. I actually liked both of the main characters despite the fact that they are very morally grey and very questionable. Literally everybody in this book is a red flag, every single one of them, but it does still work. So I did root for the couple pretty quickly, despite the fact that they were making really terrible decisions. But I do think that they had good chemistry, good banter, and they were really entertaining together. And I think that that's what sold the romance for me. It wasn't that they were healthy or making sensible decisions, it's just that they were entertaining. I think that the chemistry between the characters did work really well, and there was definitely spice, but I think that it was handled really well. There was quite a lot of it, but it never really felt super repetitive, which I do think is quite a common problem with these sorts of books sometimes. Instead, it felt like it was very naturally integrated into the relationship. You know, it helped to build that connection rather than feeling like it was constantly interrupting this plot. The reason why I enjoyed this book so much was just because of the humour and the banter and just the sheer absurdity of it all. You know, it's one of those books that if you stop and start thinking about certain aspects, then you'll probably be given questioning everything about it. However, if you just go along for the ride, then it can be an incredibly entertaining read. The pacing moved quickly and there was always something happening, like I never felt bored. I think the main reason why it didn't really reach 5 stars is just because, as I said, it wasn't a particularly complex read. There aren't really any huge surprises, and the characters can be really frustrating, so while I did enjoy the overall story, it didn't completely blow me away. Honestly, the book wasn't trying to be anything groundbreaking. It was just trying to be fun, and I do think that it succeeded. So, as for the question, would I recommend the book? Yes, absolutely. So long as you know what you're getting yourself in for. Like, if you are after a more serious, deeply emotional romance with lots of complexity, then this one isn't going to be it. But it is fun, spicy, and easy to read. So, will I be reading any more by this author? Yes, absolutely. This was my first book by this author, and I would happily pick up more in the future. So earlier on in the video, I said that you get plenty of warning for any upcoming spoilers. Now this is that moment, so if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point, there will absolutely be spoilers. One thing I enjoyed about this book was that even though the revenge plan wasn't exactly subtle, it still worked. Like, you know pretty much from the beginning that it was going to blow up in his face, but you still find yourself rooting for those two characters, which honestly is quite impressive because, I can be quite stubborn against characters who are making objectively terrible choices. But the two characters did end up winning me over, and while the ending wasn't exactly shocking, it was still very satisfying. Watching Reagan finally stand up to her father and confront all of the things that were controlling her life was just a really satisfying payoff for her character, and also standing up to her ex was also incredibly satisfying. Like, there wasn't this great, huge, big twist that changed my opinion on the story, and I don't think that it needed one. The ending gave me exactly what I wanted from the book. The characters got their resolution, the romance had its payoff, and overall, I ended the book feeling very happy with where everything landed. Honestly, by the time that I was invested in these two chaotic idiots, I just wanted them to be happy. So overall, Rook Rebel was funny, chaotic, spicy, and incredibly entertaining. It wasn't trying to reinvent this sort of darker romance. It isn't trying to be the deepest book you've ever read, it's just trying to be a bit of fun, and honestly, I think that it succeeds. I really enjoyed it, I rooted for the characters, and I flew through it in no time. But if you've read it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Next week, we're discussing Ask for Andrea, so don't forget to get your thoughts and comments in by Sunday, the 21st of June at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Discord. The following week will be All That's Left in the World, but don't forget if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated, and I'll see you next week. Bye! If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message.